Hey, I'm back with Kevin Cooper. And Kevin, in our last video where we were looking at how to get your offers accepted, you brought up a key point. And the truth is, Gary talks about it all the time: listings, leads, and leverage. So how are you getting the majority of your listings right now?
The vast majority of my listings are business to business. So you have to take the people that you're referring business to and hold them accountable for reciprocating. And what that means is your loan officer, for example, your loan officer should be sending you leads for short sales as well as traditional listings. It's very easy. It goes like this. Someone calls up your loan officer and they say, hey, can you refinance me? The loan officer looks and they find out, no, Robin, I'm sorry, you're $200,000 upside down. However, there's a window of opportunity for you, and might I suggest you call Kevin Cooper. In fact, I'm going to have him give you a call to talk about what options you might have. And that's a very simple one. You can do that with your loan officers. Another good one for financial planners, for example, might be, hey, remember the glory years when everybody was investing with you quite a bit of money and they've kind of pulled that back when the economy tanked? Wouldn't it be nice to get your investments back up? And of course you're going to say yes. So what I would do at that point is I would go ahead and say, well, here's what's going on. If a person is sitting in a home and they're paying $4,000 on a mortgage for a house that's 50% upside down, that's probably not their best business decision. And if they could go ahead and move 2 doors down and rent a house for $2,000 a month, then they're going to have, and this is of course through doing a short sale, then they're going to have another $2,000 a month that they really don't have anything to do with. And what they can do is they can get some good savings habits and invest with you. You can let them go ahead and grow their home for 2 to 3 years while they're repositioning themselves to buy again. In the meantime, they'll go ahead and buy 3 years from now, but you've got a client that has 3 years to make savings become a good habit, if that makes sense. And that's what I do with my financial planners. Makes a whole lot of sense. And then finally, bankruptcy attorneys are pretty easy too. You just call up a bankruptcy attorney and you talk to them, and understand a bankruptcy attorney, make sure you use their language. Their language is they protect you, the consumer, from the continuing liability to the debt. Typically after they bankrupt somebody, they just tell them to let the house go. The business reality is, even though the bankruptcy is finished, the house is not finished. It's going to have to go through foreclosure if they just walk away. Now, what if the house sits out there for 6 to 12 to maybe 18 months before the bank forecloses? At that point, it's that much longer for that person to rebuild their credit. Isn't that right? So what if you go ahead and go to the bankruptcy attorney and say, hey, I understand you do a phenomenal job protecting your client from the limiting their liability to the continuing liability to the debt. However, what I do is I get them so they can get back on track through a short sale. It doesn't give them any more liability to the matter, and it helps them get this nightmare behind them and move on. Does that make sense? And so you can give them a volume of business, and they should be happy to reciprocate for you. So those are the tips that I can give you right off the top of my head, and I'm sure you'll have success getting more listings.
You know what, Kevin, that's awesome. One thing comes to mind though. Let's say I'm a brand new agent. I know I can probably go build those relationships. Is there any other tip that you can give me as a new agent to build my confidence in obtaining listings?
I would say, obviously, learn your scripts. Scripts are everything. And the good thing is, with short sales, it's a little bit different. It's not like you're competing against 5 or 6 agents at a time as you might on a traditional listing. And who does not know somebody who is upside down in their home? So it's a matter of just educating yourself in the basics, saying, hey, Robin, this is Kevin. Tell me about your problem. And we go into it and you'll tell me about your problem with your house. And so we'll say, hey, Robin, so what do you want to do? You want to keep your house, or is it time for you to move on? And so we'll have that discussion. So Robin, well, this is what it looks like to keep your house. You can do nothing and just keep paying. Will that work for you? No, that doesn't work for you? Okay, let's take that off the table. Well, if you're a couple months behind, the bank would likely allow you to do what is called a forbearance. And what that means is you'll go ahead and what you're in the rears will kind of put on the back and let you keep on paying. Your payment should stay about the same. It might go up a little bit. Would that be okay? Oh, no, that won't work for you either? Okay, let's see. Well, the next thing you could do is you could do what's called a loan modification. Have you ever heard of that? And usually the people go, oh my God, I've been trying it for a year. It doesn't work too well. But sometimes you have someone who's newer to the process and they really want to do that. So say, hey, well, that's great, Robin. Let's see what it looks like. And one of the best things you could do for your client is get a mortgage calculator and say, well, Robin, you owe $500,000 on your home. You've been into it for 5 years now, so that means you have 25 years left on your term. You were paying a 6% interest only. Now the best rate that's out there is around 4% more or less, and we'll do that, but that'll be principal and interest. So let's plug all that into my mortgage calculator. Hey, Robin, it looks like your payment's going to be this. And normally when you do that, it's a higher payment than what they want. What they're really hoping for is they want a principal reduction down to the current market value, and they want the interest rate down to the current market value. But anybody out there, raise your hand if you know of anybody who's had this happen. And if you have, it's probably a fluke. Raise your hand if you know 5 people you've had it happen to. It just doesn't happen. So once you show them what that looks like, then they come to accept the fact they may not keep their home. Then you talk about what could they do going forward. Well, they could do nothing, and that's called absolutely just letting it go to foreclosure. But that's probably the worst thing they could do, because there's just a lot of things that come with that. It hurts your employment down the road. It also goes ahead, amongst other things, it's just really damaging on your credit. The next thing you could do is called jingle mail. You kind of lick the envelope and send it back, and what is that called? It's a sexy term called deed in lieu of foreclosure. But that concerns me also, because the last word in that sentence is foreclosure. So what we want to do is say that's probably not the best thing either for them, because they're going to impact their credit the same way. The thing that most of my clients do is called short sale. And what it looks like is I intercede on your behalf with the bank, and then we go ahead and negotiate for you. And then that way it makes sense, because going to foreclosure is kind of like driving down the freeway at 70 miles an hour and you take your hands off the wheel, you're going to crash. Whereas with a short sale, we put you back in control. We're able to kind of slow down and pull you over to the curb. No one's going to come knocking at your door in the middle of the night and evict your family. You're going to know everything that's going to happen before it happens. And more often than not, we're going to be able to get the positive outcome, which is a successful short sale, which is going to help your credit, and it's going to allow you to get back in the game quicker. So that's what I would suggest you do, Robin.
Great. Kevin, thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.